The wind howled outside, rattling the windows as if it sought entrance into the warmth of my home. I sat alone in the dimly lit living room, the flickering light of a single lamp casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. My parents had left for a rare date night, leaving me with nothing but the company of the encroaching darkness. As I settled into the couch, the creaking of the old house seemed to grow louder, each groan and pop echoing through the empty halls. I tried to shake off the unease settling in my stomach, convincing myself that the unfamiliar sounds were simply the house settling. But deep down, I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that I was being watched. I decided to distract myself with a movie, hoping the glow of the screen and the familiar voices of actors would drown out the unsettling noises. However, as the suspense built in the film, I couldn't shake the sensation that someone or something was lurking just beyond my field of vision. An unexpected chill swept through the room, causing me to pull the blanket tighter around myself. I told myself it was just a draft, but the air felt different, charged with an unnatural energy that sent shivers down my spine. I glanced around nervously, half expecting to see a shadowy figure lurking in the corners. Attempting to dispel my growing anxiety, I rose from the couch and headed to the kitchen to make some tea. The floorboards creaked beneath my weight, adding to the symphony of unsettling sounds that surrounded me. As I waited for the kettle to boil, a sudden thud echoed from upstairs, making me jump. My heart raced as I considered the possibility of an intruder, but a cautious investigation revealed nothing amiss. Perhaps it was just the house settling once again, or maybe my imagination was running wild in the solitude. I scolded myself for being paranoid and returned to the living room with my tea. Just as I started to relax, a whisper of a voice seemed to echo through the silence. I strained to make out the words, but they were indistinct, like a ghostly murmur carried on the wind. Panic set in, and I clutched my mug, scanning the room for the source of the haunting whispers. The house felt alive with unseen eyes, and a sudden realization dawned on me. I wasn't alone. An invisible presence lingered, its intentions unknown. Fear gripped me as the shadows seemed to writhe and twist in the corners of the room, taking on sinister forms that defied logic. Unable to endure the mounting tension, I fled to the safety of my room, where I locked the door behind me. I huddled in bed, the covers pulled tightly around me, desperately hoping that the night would pass without further disturbances. But the unsettling feeling persisted, and I couldn't shake the belief that something, or someone, was still watching me from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. The clock struck midnight, and I found myself alone in the old Victorian house I had recently moved into. My parents were away for the weekend, leaving me to navigate the unfamiliar creaks and groans of the aging structure. The wind outside howled like a mournful ghost, sending shivers down my spine. As I roamed from room to room, trying to make myself feel at home. As I settled in the living room, the dim glow of a single lamp casting long shadows, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The antique furniture seemed to take on strange shapes in the half-light, and the silence was oppressive, broken only by the distant hooting of an owl. Attempting to distract myself, I turned on the TV and lost myself in a show, trying to drown out the uneasy thoughts that lingered in the back of my mind. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere in the house grew more oppressive. Each step I took echoed through the empty halls, and the subtle sounds of settling wood took on an ominous quality. A sudden knock at the front door startled me, and I froze. Who could be visiting at this hour? I approached cautiously, peering through the peephole. To my relief, there was no one there. Just the empty darkness of the porch. I dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but the unease lingered. As I returned to the living room, I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye. A fleeting shadow darting across the hallway. I turned, my heart pounding, but there was nothing there. I laughed nervously, blaming my imagination for playing tricks on me. The flickering lamp seemed to cast elongated shadows that danced on the walls, distorting the familiar into something unsettling. I heard whisper soft almost inaudibly echoing through the house. It was as if the very walls held secrets, secrets that were now seeping into my reality. A cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing the flame of the lamp. I stood frozen in the darkness, straining to hear any sign of movement. That's when I heard a faint patter of footsteps, not my own, echoing from the hallway above. Panic gripped me, and I fumbled for my phone, contemplating whether to call the police or dismiss it as my imagination. As I dialed the numbers, the footsteps grew louder, descending the staircase with an unsettling rhythm. I held my breath, the air thick with tension. The footsteps reached the bottom of the stairs, and I could feel a presence in the room with me, though I saw nothing. A voice, barely above a whisper, spoke my name. The chilling realization Head Muhativa was in. The house knew me. My mind raced, considering the possibility of a prank or a prowler. I mustered the courage to shine my phone's flashlight into the darkness. The light revealed an empty room, but the whispers persisted, growing more urgent. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and my breath hung in the air like a spectral mist. The whispers turned into guttural murmurs, and shadows seemed to coalesce into a shape at the edge of the light. With a gasp, I fled the room, abandoning my phone in my haste. I could feel unseen eyes watching me as I stumbled through the dark corridors. The house itself felt alive, its time-worn walls harboring secrets that were now awakened in the dead of night. I barricaded myself in my room, the whispers and footsteps now a cacophony outside the door. Terrified, I clung to the hope that dawn would bring an end to this nightmare. But in the pitch-black silence, the house seemed to whisper, promising that the night was far from over.